Good morning to all of my dear friends, listeners, video viewers, and my near and dears. Now, I have brought a video to you. This video is basically dedicated and based on the speech given by Swami Vivekananda at World Parliament of Religion, Chicago. This speech had been delivered on 15th of September 1893, and it contains a lot of knowledge in it itself because it was very famous in those days, and it is also can make impact on societies. So, because it contains a lot of knowledge in it, so we will read it aloud as it was delivered. It had been delivered, and I will also focus on the pace and the words, emphasize the words as it these words had been emphasized by Swami Vivekananda. I will give my best to it, and I will put my full effort on it. So I will also hope that you will also read it aloud from your side as well. So come, let us get started from here. Response to welcome Swami Vivekananda giving greetings to the audience here. Okay, to attract them and to take their attentions. Okay, take their attention towards himself. So come, let us get started here. Sisters and brothers of America, it fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to the warm and cordial welcome which you have given us. I thank you in the name of the most ancient order monks in the world. I thank you in the name of mother of religions, and I thank you in the name of the millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and sects. My thanks also to some of the speakers on this platform who, referring to the delegates from the Orient, have told you that these men from far off nations may well claim the honor of bearing of different lands the idea of toleration. I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. I am proud to belong to a nation which has sheltered the persecuted and the refugees of all religions and all nations of the earth. I am proud to tell you that we have gathered in our bosom the purest remnant of the Israelites who came to southern India and took refuge with us in the very year in which their holy temple was shattered into pieces by Roman tyranny. I am proud to belong to the nation which has sheltered and is still fostering remnant Zoroastrian nation. I will quote to you, my brethren, a few lines from a hymn which I remember to have repeated from my earliest boyhood, which is every day repeated by millions of human beings. I am as the different streams having their sources in different places, all mingle their water in the sea. So, O Lord, the different paths which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee. The present convention, which is one of the most august assemblies ever held, is in itself a benediction, a declaration to the word of the wonderful doctrine preached in the Gita. Whatsoever comes to me through whatsoever form, whosoever comes to me through whatsoever form, I reach him. All men are struggling through paths which in the end lead to me. Is sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendant fanaticism have long possessed this beautiful earth. They have filled the earth with violence, drenched in often and often with human blood, destroyed civilizations, and sent whole nations to despair. Had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would he far more advanced than it is now. But their time is come, and I fervently hope that the well that told this morning in honor of his convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions with the sword or with the pen, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons bending their way to the same goal. I will tell you a little story. You have heard the eloquent speaker who had just finished say, "Let us cease from abusing each other." And he was very sorry that there should be always so much variance. But I think I should tell you a story which would illustrate the cause of this variance. A frog lived in a well. It had lived there for a long time. It was born there and brought up there, and yet was a little small frog. Of course, the evolutionists were not there then to tell us whether the frog lost its eyes or not. But for our story's sake, we must take it for granted that it had its eyes, and that it every day cleansed the water of all the worms and bacilli that lived in it with an energy that would do credit to our modern bacteriologists. In this way, it went on and became a little sleek and fat. Well, one day another frog that lived in the sea came and fell into the well. There were, "Where are you from?" "I am from the sea." "The sea? How big is that?" "Is it as big as my well?" And he took a leap from one side of the well to another. My friend, the sea frog, said the frog of the sea, "How do you compare the sea with your little well?" Then the frog took another leap and asked, "Is your sea so big?" "Whatsoever, what nonsense you speak, to compare the sea with your well." "Well, then," said the frog of the well, "nothing can be bigger than my well. There can be nothing bigger than this. This fellow is a liar, so turn him out." That has been the difficulty all the while. I am a Hindu. I am sitting in my own little well and thinking that the whole world is my little well. The Christian sits in his little well and thinks the whole world is his well. The Mohammedan sits in his little well and thinks that is the whole world. I have to thank you of the American for the great attempt you are making to break down the barriers of this little word of ours, and hope that in the future the word will help you to accomplish your purpose. These religions now stand in the world which have come down to us from the time prehistorics: Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, and Judaism. They have all received tremendous shocks, and all of them prove by their survival their internal strength, but which Judaism failed to observe Christianity and was driven out of its place of birth by its all conquering, acquiring daughter, and a handful of Parsis is all the remains to tell that tale of their grand religion. Sect after sect arose in India and seemed to shake the religion of the Vedas to its very foundations. But like the waters of the seashore in the tremendous earthquake is receded, and when the tumult of the rush was over, these sects were all shocked in, absorbed, and assimilated into the immense body of the mother faith. From the high spiritual flights of the ideas of idolatry, with its multifarious mythology and agnosticism of the Buddhist and the atheism of the Jains, each of all have a place in the Hindu's religion. Where then the question arises, where is the common center to which all these widely diverging radii converge? Where is the common basis upon which all these seemingly hopeless contradictions rest? And this is the question I shall attempt to answer. The Hindu have received their religion through revelation. The Vedas, they hold that the Vedas are without beginning and without end. It may sound ludicrous to this audience. How a book can be without beginning or end? But by the Vedas, no books are meant. They mean the accumulated treasury of spiritual laws discovered by different persons in different times. Just as the law of gravitation existed before its discovery and would exist of all if all humanity forgot it. So, is it with the laws that governs the spiritual world, the moral, ethical, and spiritual relations between soul and between individual spirit and the Father of all spirits were there before their discovery and would remain even if we forget them. The discoverers of these laws are called rishis, and we honor them as perfected beings. I am glad to tell this audience that some of the very greatest and of them were women. Here it may be said that these laws, as laws, may be without end, but they must have had a beginning. The Vedas teach us that creation is without beginning or end. Science is said to be have proven that the sum total of cosmic energy is always the same. Then, if there was a time when nothing existed, where was all this manifested energy? Some say it was in a potential form in God. In that case, God is sometimes potential and sometimes kinetic, which would make him mutable. Every mutable is a compound, and every compound must undergo that change, which is called destruction. So God would die. So God would die, which is absurd. Therefore, there never was a time when there was no creation. If I may be allowed to say, use a simile, creation and creator are two lines without beginning and without end, running parallel to each other, go in the ever active providence by whose power systems after systems are being evolved but out of chaos, made to run for a time and again destroyed. This is what the Brahmin boy repeats every day. The sun and the moon the Lord created like the suns and moons of previous cycles, and this agrees with modern science. Here I stand, if I shut my eyes and try to conceive my existence, I. What is the idea before me? The idea of a body. Am I then nothing but a combination of material substances? The Vedas declare, no, I am the spirit living in a body. I am not the body. The body will die, but I shall not die. Here am I in this body, it will fall, but I shall go on living. I had also I had also a past. The soul was not created, for creation means the combination, which means a certain future dissolution. If then the soul was created, it must die. Some are born happy, enjoy perfect health, with his beautiful body, mental vigor, and all wants supplied. Others are born miserable. Some are without hands or feet. Others again are idiots and and only drag on the rest existence. Why? If they are all created why does a just of merciful God created one happy and another unhappy? Why he so partial? Why is he so partial? No would no nor would it matters in the least of the hold that those who are miserable in this life will be happy in future one. Why should a man be miserable even here in the reign of the just and merciful God? In this in the second fiat of an all powerful being, second place, the idea of creator God does not explain the anomaly, but simply expresses the cruel fate of all powerful being. There must have been causes then before his birth and took a man miserable or happy, and those were his past actions. Are not all these tendencies of the mind and the body accumulated accounted for the inherent aptitude? Here are two parallel lines of existence, one of the mind and other of matter. If matter and its transformations answer for all that we have, there is no necessity for supposing the existence of a soul. But it cannot be proved that thought has been evolved out of matter. And if philosophical monism is inevitable, spiritual monism is certainly logical and no less desirable than the materialistic monism. But neither of these is necessary here. We cannot deny that bodies acquire certain tendencies from heredity, but those tendencies only mean the physical configuration through which a peculiar mind alone act in a peculiar way. There are another tendencies peculiar to soul caused by its past actions, and a soul with a certain tendency would by the laws of affinity take birth in a body which is the fittest instrument for the display of their tendency. This is in accord with science, wants to explain everything by habit and habit to God through repetitions. So repetitions are necessary to explain the natural habits of the newborn soul, and since they were not obtained in this present life, they must have come down from past lives. There is another suggestion, taking all these for granted, now is it that do not remember anything of my past life. This can be easily explained. I am now speaking English. It is not my mother tongue. In fact, no words of my mother tongue are now present in my consciousness. But let me try to bring them up and they're rushing. That shows that consciousness is only the surface of all mental ocean, and within its deepest depths are stored up all our experiences. Try and struggle, they would come up, and you would be conscious even of your past life. This is direct and demonstrative evidence, verification to perfect proof of a theory, and here is the challenge thrown to the world by the rishis. We have discovered the secret why which very depths of the ocean of memory can be stirred up. Try it, and you would get a complete reminiscence of your past life. So then the Hindu believes that he is a spirit. Him the sword cannot pierce, him the fire cannot burn, him the water cannot melt, and him air cannot dry. The Hindu believes that every soul is a circle whose circumference is nowhere, but those center is located in the body, and and that death means the change of the center from body to a body, not in the soul bound by the conditions of matter. It is very as essence, it is free, unbounded, holy, pure, and perfect. But somehow of other it finds itself tied down to matter and thinks of itself as matter. Why should the free, perfect, and pure being of thus under the threshold of matter is the next question. How can the perfect soul be deluded into the belief that it is imperfect? We have been told that the Hindus trick the question and say that no such questions can be there. Some thinkers want to answer it by positing one or more perfect beings and use big scientific names to fill up the gap. But naming is not explaining. The question remains the same. How can be perfect become the quasi perfect? How can be pure and absolute change even the microscopic particles of of its nature? But the Hindu is sincere. He does not want to take shelter under sophistry. He is brave enough to face the question in the manly fashion, and the opposing and the name thinker answer it by he is brave enough to face the question of manly fashion, immortal and mortal, perfect and infinite. And death means only a change of center from body to another. The present is determined by our past actions, and the future by our present. The soul will go on evolving up or reverting back from birth to birth and death to death. But there is another question: is a man a tiny boat in the tempest, raised one moment on the foamy crest of the willow of dash down in the yawning chasm, the next rolling and to and fro at the mercy of good and bad actions, a powerless, helpless wreck in a ever-rising and rushing, uncompromising current of cause and effect, a little mouth placed under the wheel of causation, which rolls on crushing everything in its way and waits not for the widow's tears or the orphan's cry. The heart sings at the idea. Yet, this is the law of nature. Is there no hope? Is there no escape? What was the cry that went up for the bottom of the heart of despair? It reaches the throne of the mercy, and words of hope and consolation came down and inspired a Vedic sage. And he stood up before the bird and in a trumpet voice proclaimed the glad tidings. Hear, ye children of immortal bliss, even ye that reside in higher spheres. I have found the ancient one who is beyond all darkness and all delusion. Knowing him alone, you shall be saved from death over again. Children of immortal bliss. What a sweet, what a hopeful name. Allow me to call you brethren by the sweet name, heirs of immortal bliss. He, the Hindu, refuses to call you sinners. Ye are the children of God, the shares of immortal bliss, holy and perfect beings. Ye divinities on earth, sinners. It is a sin to call the men so. It is a standing libel on human Nature, come up, O lines, and shake off the delusion that you are sheep. You are souls, immortal, spirit free, blessed and eternal. Ye are you matter? Are you not? Ye are not matter. Ye are not bodies. Matter is your servant, not you, the servant of matter. Thus it is that the Vedas proclaim not the dreadful a combination of unforgiving laws, not an endless prison of cause and effect, but that the head of all these laws in hand through every particle of matter, and force stand one by whose command the wind blows, the rain, the fire burns, the cloud rains, the death takes upon the earth. And what is his nature? He is everywhere. He is pure and formless one, and almighty and all merciful. Thou art our Father. Thou art our Mother. Thou art our beloved friend. Thou art the source of all these things. Give us strength. Thou art He that breath the pure burden of the universe. Help me bear the little burden of this life. Thou saying the rishis of Vedas, how to worship him through love. He is to be worshipped as one beloved, dearer than everything in this end and next life. This is the doctrine of love declared in the Vedas, and yet let us see how it is fully developed and taught by Krishna, who the Hindus believe to have been God incarnated on earth. He taught that a man ought to live in this world like a lotus leaf, which grows in water but is never moistened by water. So a man ought to live in this world, his heart to God and his hands to work. It is good to love God for hope of reward in this or next world, but it is better to love God for love's sake. And the prayer goes, Lord, I do not want wealth, nor children, nor learning. If it be thy will, I shall go from birth to birth, but grant me on the disciple of Krishna. The emperor of India was driven from the kingdom by his enemies and had to him how it was that he, the most virtuous of men, should suffer so much misery. Yudhishthira answered, behold my queen, the Himalayas. How grand and beautiful they are. I love them. They do not give me anything, but my nature, but my nature is to love the grand, the all sublimity, the beautiful. There I love him. Similarly, I love the Lord. He is source of all beauty, of all sublimity. He is the only object to be loved. My nature is to love him, and therefore I do not pray for anything. I do not ask for anything. Let him place me anywhere, wherever he likes. I must love him for love's sake. I cannot trade love. So this was all about of this speech was mean. So I have read it aloud, and I will also continue the rest speech in another word and another video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time. Thank you, everyone.